Good evening everyone and welcome to another season of Monday Night Lights. I'm your host Alex McKellar, only flying solo tonight because the great Bernie and RRtv are having a Christmas break. So I'm going to have a crack at calling this one from the replay of last night's race. Of course I was in the race, but going to see what I can do. As I said, flying solo without Bernie's help, so I'll have to see how we go. It was a great field last night. As they're taking to the grid now and the revs are rising as the lights are getting ready to go and they're away. Of course, Dakota, who joined us again, had really big mechanical problems off the grid, and as you just saw there, he copped a big hit. Everyone else tended to get through okay. The rest of the field got through pretty cleanly on the first lap. It was a pretty high standard. The strength of field was third highest for the week at 3,288 as Enzo took the early lead as Dakota made his way to the pits. Enzo took the early lead from newcomer Valerio Pianezza. I think a fellow countryman to Enzo, as Daryl Ridley settled down into third place. Luke Whitten, the returning runner-up from last season, into fourth, and Ben Furhoff right behind him in fifth place off the grid. So come into the hairpin for the first time. Ben Furhoff going around the outside of Luke Whitten there through the hairpin. Looks to take the inside into the next corner. Already looking to be missing his front wing at this stage, early stage of the race. Looks like Enzo up front again, looking to set up a commanding lead with Valerio right behind him, and Daryl Ridley making a great show for the local boys in third place. Ben Furhoff, who had quite a good series last season, returning to the series, is sitting there in fourth position at this stage. So we look further down the field, Kevin Henderson in ninth place as they come around the closing stages of the first lap. Luke Page, another regular from seasons gone by, has rejoined us for this season of Monday Night Lights and had a good showing in the Australasian Super Skips on the previous night. As they head around for the second lap, we see Enzo still continuing to lead out in front, although he's run a bit wide out of the second turn there as he makes his way down to the first of several hairpins on this course. He's already at a 0.6 of a second lead over Valerio. Ben Furhoff now gotten past Luke Whitten, as we saw previously, sitting right in behind Daryl Ridley, who's again making a great showing early on in the early stages of this race. As we see the cars flooding down the back straight for the second time, it's a magnificent sight to see. This field of buzzy bees, as I often like to call them, all again getting through that hairpin quite nicely there. Sam Katakazinos wasn't streaming tonight, but making a good fist of things down in ninth place with Ian Robertson right behind him, and Mick Gray, the third one in that train, doing another fantastic job tonight. Started a bit further down the field tonight, but again making his way through the early stages of the race cleanly. This is about the point where things started to go a bit crazy for me. No, that was next lap, sorry. Come back to my focus later on in the race. As we head back up front, we just saw Daryl Ridley have a couple of network issues at that stage, but he seems to still be going okay. I know that he ran into some issues with Ben later on in the race. Fortunately, we don't have voice chat on because it was a bit fruity, shall we say. You can see they're racing quite closely here and quite cleanly through the first series of corners as they head down to the hairpin leading into the main straight. Let me just clear that flag there. I wonder if I can get the ticker going, if that might help. Yeah, there we go, current standings. Wouldn't mind seeing how many laps we got to go either, but I'll try and figure that out shortly. As we see them heading up the back straight for the third time, I believe. and you can see I'm really struggling without Bernie here. All the cars in the line. Enzo getting out to a reasonable lead at this stage with Valerio in second place, and Ben really starting to put pressure on to Darrell at this stage, at the early stage of the race, with Luke Whitten, top flight Australian driver, sitting in 5th position at this stage. Going back in the pack, we see that by this stage I'd made a bit of a pass on Samuel, who'd suffered damage in that early incident with Dakota. As you see Ben Soko look up the inside there into one of the final corners. From memory, that's turn 8. He made a good pass on myself in that position earlier, a lap or two previously, to move up to where he was. He had another look there. He's quite strong through there. I recall him being quite strong with his braking, but to no avail on that occasion. As we head around now onto the front straight, and this is where it all came unstuck for me, unfortunately. So we see Samuel range up on the back of me. I got a poor run out of here, and then unfortunately, a nasty incident, and that was all she wrote. Enough said about that, and perhaps we'll move on back up to the front as we see Darrell Ridley sitting in 3rd place behind Valerio, with Enzo breaking out to a fairly solid lead in the early stages. Ben Furhoff and Luke Whitten sitting in behind this lead pack of 5. I should call it a lead pack of 6, because Luke Page, as you see here, is ranging up on the back as well. This is where it started getting interesting on this lap. As I recall, Ben trying to make some significant inroads into Darrell. Just gave him a little nudge and turned him around, unfortunately. Darrell was none too pleased with that, as you can imagine, but he settled down by the end, and he was... the red mist had faded by the end. It was one of those things. Ben was racing hard and just made a slight mistake, and unfortunately turned Darrell around and really put an end to his racing aspirations for that night. If we look up the front, Enzo now had a 1 second gap, or just under, to compatriot Valerio. Valerio making obviously a great start to the Monday Light season here, sitting in behind Enzo. It was a shame that Dakota, who's currently a lap down in 17th place, was taken out of the running. I was looking forward to seeing a great battle between those two. But at this stage, you've got the running order is Enzo Cantor in 1st, Valerio here, who we're riding on with, in 2nd, Ben Furhoff sitting in 3rd place, with Luke Whitten in 4th, followed by the other Luke Page, and these three look to be having a great battle at this stage. I'm not even sure how many laps we've got to go. 9.8 laps to go. So as you can see, again, it's a lot easier when there's 2 people to do this stuff, but you know what, we'll give it a crack anyway. The next battle I can see is between Sam Katakazinos, who, as I think I said, he didn't stream tonight. I was hoping he might have streamed this race so that I could use that footage, but you know what, we're still giving it a crack. And right behind Sam, you've got Mick Gray, who seemed to remember sported an all-yellow paint scheme, but now he's moved to green on the tail, so it's still very distinctive and perhaps a little bit more reflective of the Aussie club that he comes from. So he's faring quite well here. He's currently sitting in 9th position, just 0.7 of a second behind Sam, with Ian Robertson directly behind them. Again, half a second behind, with Benjamin Soko, after starting in... Where did he start? He started in 15th position, up 4 spots into 11th, so he was doing quite well at this stage as well. Moving back up to the front, we see Enzo out on his own there. He really did clear out in these early stages and looked to make the running while the sun was shining, so to speak. You see Valerio sitting in behind him there. Again, he's up 1 position at the expense of Dakota, with that unfortunate hardware failure at the start. And then again we see close running between Luke Page, Ben Furhoff and Luke Whitten, who are the leading Australian contingents, or the Australian New Zealand Club contingents at this stage. See Ben putting pressure on Luke as they head through the early stages down into turn 4, which is the first of the hairpins, as I said, but also known as Atwood Curve. running line astern there. Really nice tight racing, as it has tended to be here all week. You can have a good pack race, but not always with the best results, I have to say. But I certainly had a great run and a great time. Here, as you see them weaving around, Luke trying to break the draft. Doesn't do any blocking there. I'd say he had a fair bit of movement, but Ben was still able to get through on the inside there at the end of the main straight into turn 5. Nice and cleanly, the guys have pulled back into line. Nice driving, you'd suggest, by all there, as that battle really is the pick of the bunch at this stage. Moving back down the field a little bit, I've got a battle of what looks to be about 4 cars here, although they're all pretty tightly packed looking at that shot. You've got really about a second and a half covering Benjamin Soko, who we're riding with here, all the way through from 11th up to about 8th spot in Mick Gray at this point in time. So we hop on the gyro cam with Ben here, sitting at the back of this pack. You can see people taking kind of different lines there through the final corner, kicking up a bit of dust as they go through. But you can see there's battles throughout the field here. Even if we go back to young Samuel Collins, who at some point soon actually had some network problems, disconnected if I recall correctly. He's sitting in behind Vince Browning here, down in 14th position. The people behind at this stage are Darryl Ridley, who we saw have that incident with Ben, myself in 16th, and Dakota Fripp unfortunately a lap down in 17th. But the only thing I could salvage from this race as we return back up to the front was that I didn't go a lap down. One small goal, as we see now Ben move over to the inside, and Luke, we're riding with Luke Page at the moment. Luke Whitten pull up right in behind him, looking to maximise his effect out of the draft, forced to the outside, which is not the worst thing in the world at this track, although he tucks in behind here, tries the crisscross. But you see what Ben does there is he gives himself the inside, the best of both corners really, inside on both corners. Compromises his run a little bit here through turn 7, having to take a little bit of a defensive line, but it hasn't cost him too much as they pull into turn 8 now. Quite close there. Luke probably misjudged his braking slightly, Luke Whitten that is, but he's still carrying on, no damage done, and this battle raging on. If I turn my attention back down again to Sam Katagazinas, he's in this battle pack of 3 at the moment with Ian Robertson and Mick Gray in front of him. And ranging up behind the Ben Soko as well. So this is a nice little pack of 4. There's only half a second really separating any one of them at any time. I don't know why it says finishing up the top, folks. I might get rid of that if I can. No, it doesn't want to get rid of it. We're going to stick with it for now. That's okay. Get rid of the flag and the checkered and all that sort of stuff, but we'll see how we go. Because I'm doing it from a recording, of course, it's not necessarily going to be as smooth as silk. As we return up to the front now, riding with Luke Page again, sitting on the back of this battle between Luke Whitten and Ben Furhoff and himself. Again, Luke ranging up behind here as we go right on board with him now. He moves to the outside, Ben Furhoff holding that defensive line into turn 4 here. Luke, a better run through that corner. He'll have the inside running into turn 5 here, and he takes that position nicely there, as now we see Ben Furhoff coming under pressure from Luke Page. At the same time, he's kind of the meat in the sandwich while he tries to put pressure on Luke Whitten. That was a well executed pass. It's surprising how well you can do whilst going around the outside, sorry, of that hairpin turn 4. Oh, a little touch there from Luke Page on the back of Ben Furhoff there. No damage done, and both drivers continue on successfully. Again, well executed pass by Luke, but I'd suggest that that's not the end of the proceedings by a long shot. Return to have a quick look at Enzo. He's running up front in clear air. He's 2.2 seconds ahead of Valerio in second place, with that battle between the pair of Lukes and Ben Furhoff ranging into turn 1 now. It's really the pick of the battles on the track at this stage, although having said that, Benjamin Soko is now sitting on the back of this back of 4 and soon to be 5 with Ian Robertson on the back. They're really going hard at it into turn 2. Looks like that would have been a lot of fun to be a part of, as they really make use of all the track there. You can see the dust kicking up as they come down into the turn 4 Atwood curve. Again, trying to get it, tuck in behind, see what passing opportunities they've got. As we see, who's that running wide there? That'd be Sam Katagazinos taking the wide line through there. He looked to really sort of take the defensive line. He's parked himself right in the middle of the track there, not really giving up much at all, maximising his line while maintaining a defensive position. As we see again, Ben Soko sitting on the back of this pack with now Mick Gray sitting in the second spot directly behind Sam. Oh, and Dakota, that's why I'm getting confused. Dakota Fripp's in the middle of all this, trying to figure out what's going on. But I'm riding on here with Benjamin Soko, and Dakota Fripp sort of trying to unlap himself. He's quick enough to run with this lot, of course, and probably quick enough to go past them quite comfortably. But I guess he must just be enjoying himself at this stage as much as he can, because there's a big I rating loss in this for him, of course, with his hardware failure at the start. But yeah, putting a lot of pressure on Mick there, you can see. He's just be trying to unlap himself and have a bit of fun, I'd suggest, as he now ranges up on and goes past on the inside of Mick there into turn 1. I'm not sure Mick would appreciate it too much getting unlapped, but perfectly entitled to do that is Dakota as he makes his way back through the field. Might just jump back up again to Ben Furhoff, who's now sitting behind Kevin Henderson. Not sure what happened to Ben there. I won't try and manage a replay at this stage, because I'd probably just as soon fluff it all up and we'd end up somewhere completely undesirable. But now it looks like there's a lot of space up the front now. Luke Page sitting 1.6 seconds behind Luke Witten in third place. You can see that gap there. Ben Furhoff now trying to get on the back there, but he's got Kevin right behind him there as they go through that series of corners through the mid part of the track. Yeah, so I'm not sure what happened to Ben there. I might try and find a replay at the end, although I'm a bit nervous about trying my luck, if I'm completely honest. So I'll probably give that a miss as well. So as we ride on now with Luke Page, you can see Luke Witten just up ahead there. Similar gap now. We hop on to Luke up to Valerio in second place. It's a 3-second gap here from Luke, who we're riding with now, up to Valerio, and equivalent another 3-second gap up to Enzo currently running in first place. We hop on board with Kevin Henderson now for a moment. Kevin, of course, now becoming the equal most cap player, or cap driver I should say, with Jason Willman, who's decided to have a bit of a break this season. Kevin's been a fantastic supporter of the series, had some mixed results during last season, but turned up every week to support the series and have hopefully a good night. He's currently sitting in 6th place here behind Ben Furhoff and really pushing him hard. You can see Ben's got a bit of rear wing damage he's picked up along the way. Not sure he picked that up, as Kevin looks up the inside now, holds his line. Here he shifts down the gears really rapidly there. You can hear the engine screaming. Kevin's been known to blow an engine or two. I know he'll hate me saying that, but they certainly sounded like quick downshifts there as he tried to get the best run through turn 4, heading up the main straight into the turn 5 hairpin. He looks on the inside, late braking Ben, holds his line, and again Kevin sends that screaming engine through turn 5, comes out the other side. This track's notorious for blown engines this week, so I was pleased to see, I believe Kevin got through without blowing up his engine, which was great to see. So we drop back into 11th place now. We're riding on board with Ian Robertson. He is, as I said, sitting in 11th place and in a good battle here with Benjamin Soko and Mick Gray just ahead, up in 9th place. And of course they're all trying now to catch Sam Katagazinos, who looks to have got a nice little break there. So well done to Sam. Why don't we try one of these other views here? Well, that's not as exciting, is it? We'll go back here. And we'll hop on board with Ben Soko just in front as he tries to range up using the draft down the front straight to try and get a passing opportunity into turn one. He pulls out, thinks better of it, and tucks back in behind Mick there. Probably wise thinking at that stage. Oh, and speaking of which, Ben Soko's just blown his engine. I was just talking about that. I'm not sure if he had an eye on his oil temperature, but certainly that's an end to his night. I'd forgotten all about that, but yeah, I remember now that he did blow his engine, and he and I had a few saucy laps to finish when I caught up with him after his pit stop, obviously, he required after blowing that engine. New name to the series here, Fran Castillo, sitting right in behind Vince Browning, another returning regular. Vince was pretty much every week participant, as I recall, last season after having a bit of time off. As we see Fran Castillo now coming up on the looking to have a look up the inside into turn 5 hairpin, but perhaps on the next lap though. Great to see Vince back and a new starter here in Fran Castillo, who looks to be making a good fist of things in his first Monday Night Lights season, fighting for the final point scoring position. Vince currently sitting in 12th position in front here. Will take the final point scoring position if things remain the same. Returning now back up to Ben Furhoff. Kevin looks to have gotten past Ben there. Sorry if I missed that action. I assume it came through the main straight and into turn 5. Ben now trying to get the good draft into turn 1 here. Tucks him, doesn't even poke his nose out there, thinks better of it. He might be trying to line up for the main straight out the back, out of turn 4. As we see him really nice and close there. He's only 2 to 3 tenths behind Kevin here, putting on a lot of pressure. That rear wing damage will cost him a bit of top speed, but the trade-off he'll have is that Kevin will be giving him punching a great big hole, although he runs a bit deep there and costs himself what would have been a good opportunity this lap, as he sits now just over half a second and really not going to make the most of the draft at this stage as he runs down the main straight. He's really not going to get that opportunity into turn 5 like he might have hoped for after that poor exit out of turn 4 onto the main straight. This again is probably the pick of the battles of this stage, with the exception of perhaps Mick Gray now sitting in 10th place. Mick's up 3 spots from his qualifying position of 13th. He's sitting on the back of Ian Robertson here, another driver who turned up to many of the races last season from what I can recall. Ian's up 1 position from his starting spot on the grid. Mick's ranging up behind now. He's sitting about 0.8 of a second behind. He'll be trying to make his way through the field as he regularly does. He's not the best of qualifiers, but he's a really smart racer and finished 3rd in the championship overall last season. Moving back up to Ben Furhoff here, you can see Kevin's taken a defensive line through turn 1, as I'm trying to figure out how many laps remaining. It's kind of tricky at this stage. So we're on lap 13 out of 14 by the looks, so it must be the last lap. I better duck up to Enzo up front. He's out here on his own, if I'm honest. So we know how good a front runner is. He's got a 5-second gap, and you can see me, poor old number 5 there, trying not to get lapped. Can't be the last lap actually, because I seem to remember having a great battle with Vince Browning on the last lap. Oh, sorry, not Vince Browning, Benjamin Sokol. Well, maybe it is Enzo's last lap. After all, I nearly got lapped. So it says here he's done 13 laps. So one would assume that he's pretty much coming in to finish. And I'm just going to stay with Enzo now to see if we don't get a bit of a wiggle from him. Actually, I might duck back and see. Oh, I've missed Ben overtaking Kevin, most likely at the end of the main straight. So anyway, we'll duck back up. Not much of a cameraman, am I? Jump back up to Enzo here as he looks to... you can see my battle up front, starting with Ben Soko after his blown engine, but Enzo Cantor coming down to take the checkered flag, as we see, there it is, the checkered flag coming out. Look at the silly mugs, trying not to go a lap down, having a battle. There's the wiggle, the famous Enzo wiggle now. We see Valerio crossing second, Luke Whitten taking his first podium of the year. He's cleared out a bit there from Luke Page, who looks to have he has maintained fourth position in front of Ben Furhoff, who just held off Kevin Henderson. If I can get anyone crossing the line, and Sam Katagizinos in 8th, Mick Gray's finished, Daryl Ridley, and then I think I've just gone past Ben Soko there. I might see if I can replay that. I'll try one instant replay, hey? Oh, and of course it's died, hasn't it? Oh well, I'll close that and just finish with this. You can see now Benjamin Soko coming up. What are we at the end of the main straight? I've taken a fairly defensive line. Ben's outbraked himself somewhat. And then we've made our way through the final series corners. I was rough as guts through there because I was worried that Benjamin was quite right behind me. Thank you, Facebook, for ruining my broadcast. I probably should have turned that off. I might see if I can get RRtv back. There we go. I don't know how much it's going to help me here at this stage, but we'll see how we go. You can see we're coming through the final corners here. Second to last corner. Coming down into the final corner now. And from memory I managed just to hold him off. So there you go. I think we were the final two to cross the line too. There's Samuel Collins. No, I think we're the final two. And there you go. That's it, folks. So I wonder if I can get the results. Look at that. How about that, eh? So, our final results. Enzo Cantor in first place. A great return to the season for him. Valerio Pianezza. Enzo, I'll hit you up for some pronunciation during the week at some stage, mate. Has made a great start to his Monday Night Lights campaign. Luke Whitten finishing in third place, the series runner-up from last season. Luke Page, a returning favourite, he's finished in fourth. Well done, Luke. Ben Furhoff, a couple of incidents for Ben, but some good tough racing as well, finishing in fifth. Kevin Henderson, series favourite, finishing in a strong sixth position. Patrick Dreyer, newcomer to the season, he's to the series, he's finished in seventh. Ian Robertson, returning driver, finishing in eighth. Sam Katagizinos finishing in ninth, and Mick Gray, podium getter for the season last season, finishing in 10th position. In 11th, we had Vince Browning, another returning driver. New driver to the series, Fran Castillo, in 12th. Daryl Ridley in 13th position after having an unfortunate incident with Ben early on. Unfortunate for Daryl, he was sitting in third at the time and having a great run. Hopefully Daryl will be back bigger and better next week. Yours truly languishing down in 14th position in what was a pretty sorry return to Monday Night Lights. Benjamin Soko, after his blown engine in a trip to the pits, finishing in 15th. Dakota Fripp, what an unfortunate season opener for him, finishing in 16th after having controller or hardware issues at the start of the race and getting tagged and turned around for his trouble. Trip to the pits, a lap down, finishing in 16th. Samuel Collins also finishing a lap down after a couple of unfortunate incidents, picking up Dakota, who was stalled on the grid, and myself along the way as well. He also had network troubles and crashed out of the game and returned only to finish 17th. So I think that's our results, done and dusted. So I might finish it there, folks. A pretty interesting first effort at the racing, but I think I might call it there and see what it looks like. I don't know how many more of these I'll do in Bernie's absence, but hopefully it added a little something along the way. So thanks again for your company. I hope you enjoyed the show, and I'll see you again next week for Monday Night Lights.